Indeed, representing the two, although for the moment, indeed, our core business is transporting, storing, and importing natural gas, but in the future, the two can be used for different energy careers, and this is the privilege that we have. Thank you very much for the organizers of being here. Very interesting debate for all of us, and especially, of course, I'm looking forward for the panel of energy. We will be, of course, very much aligned with the European Commission because the vision of GIE, Gas Infrastructure Europe, is very much looking on the same direction of decarbonization. Just a few words who we are. We are an association which represent 70 members in 25 European countries, so we represent all infrastructure operators. So in Greece, this is DESFA, Bulgartransgaz in Bulgaria, and of course Transgas in Romania. So very much important of something to somehow to complement also on Matthew on the level of the discussion in regards to the crisis. Indeed, huge efforts were put in these regards from our side. I mean, of course, we are all aware of the efforts that were done in these regards. I mean, where there is a political will, we can see how quickly things are happening. For example, in regards to LNG, Germany is it's a very good example of that. But when we talk, so we are the association basically which try to make sure that in business perspective, and our companies, our members actually on business perspective, they deliver the political will of, let's say, the European policymakers and the Green Deal. So I will put today 3 messages here, and I will be very brief. To be honest, the question is really interesting. Can the energy security can be affordable? Indeed, and basically we need to tackle here very properly the two processes which are happening on the same time. So the crisis that we are facing and also the decarbonization vision and you know, the will and the huge ambition that we are having in these regards. So my first message, which is quite important, is that decarbonization should go hand by hand also with making sure that security of supply is put in place. And this is really important because this is a business conference today. It's really important to emphasize, let's say, on the investments. And it is really of a huge importance to make sure when we are talking about gas infrastructure and infrastructure per se in energy infrastructure, it is important when you're making your investment plans to make sure that the two things are coming hand by hand. Because on one side, indeed, security of supply is something that needs to, you know, it's our somehow daily business, but there are still bottlenecks that needs to be solved, right? We need to make sure that diversification, for example, and especially in the region, is something that bottlenecks needs to be properly solved, right? So there is a huge difference between country to country on the level that, you know, decarbonization is happening, but unfortunately also some of the countries, and especially on the region, still needs to make sure that interconnectivity, and also in Central Europe, of course, is putting properly in place, so the investments in this kind of perspective, so projects which are for security of supply and interconnectivity goes hand by hand with those which are for decarbonization. This is extremely important. And also the role that natural gas is going to play in the transition period is something that it shouldn't be underestimated. So our role in this perspective with the storages and the targets that we fulfilled during the crisis, I mean, European Commission, the policymakers was very demanding towards us on the levels of storages that we need to feel, let's say, in the beginning of every heating season, which our members was actually, we are very proud of that they were able to do even in Prior. I mean, with the LNG terminals, the increase of the investments in the FSRUs, it's huge. I mean, we also see how well the regional is also developing. We heard about, you know, the increased intention of Alexandroupolis for sure. Also the project in Bulgaria for the expansion of Chiren storage. My second message, which is very important, is that the gas infrastructure will have a crucial role to play in the future as well. So basically, we truly believe, and we are very much engaged on let's say, all the technologies which we need to invest, all the innovation, And for the moment, of course, there are differences between countries where they're having green gases, so biomass in some countries, on some others, you need to more facilitate in biomethane. So for the moment, indeed, you have hydrogen, biomethane, different possibilities, repurposing of the system, which probably we'll hear about that today. And blending in the system, but actually what it is important that we need to also increase for the purposes of the good of the citizens, for to being affordable indeed, also to invest on future technologies. We will bring also green hydrogen, and also biomethane. There are also another technologies which European Commission is focusing very much, CCS, CCUS. So let's the best technology be it indeed, but to make sure that you have a very well equipped future energy mix and energy system that works very well together, you need to make sure that you invest in parallel in the electricity system, renewables, and the gas infrastructure. So to make sure that everything is working very properly in a good mix, and the gas infrastructure, of course, here could be a very good backup for the hard-to-abate industries and heavy industries from which we've heard this morning. My last message, which is very short, is basically related to the fact that this is a very decisive year, 2024. In 9th of June, we will have European elections, and I would like to ask you, all of you, to make sure that you vote, because it's important. But what I'm trying to say here, we will very much engaged in a specific regulatory framework to be developed in Europe prior to this new parliamentaries in European Commission to get in place. So let's make sure that this is going to be implemented properly. It is a matter of a very proper political leadership to make sure that all the goals are implemented properly. I see you looking at your watch, so I will stop here. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Boyana.